And Grant, we've also seen closer to home more protests on the streets of our capital yesterday. There were, unfortunately, reports of chanting, intifada, revolution. Now, the government has spoken a lot about cracking down on the excesses of these protests, making sure there's no sign of any support for terrorism, that there is no anti-Semitism. But these protests continue to gather pace in our capital. What's the latest on what's being done to prevent people from feeling, well, unsafe on the streets of London?
Yeah, this worries me. It worries the government a lot. I was pleased to see there were 10 or so arrests yesterday made. We have said in the past, I think the police need to be very much all over these things, and we see the impact on people. It makes people feel very uncomfortable when these marches sometimes spill over from the legitimate right to protest and make a point. That is not an issue. When they spill over into anti-Semitism, when they spill over into hate speech, racism, that is where there's a problem. And we absolutely back 100% police taking the necessary action. I see now that they have charged hundreds and hundreds of people over the last few months, and that there were a significant number of arrests yesterday, which I think was the right way to deal with these things.
And Grant, Shapps, I must ask you about the front page of the Mail on Sunday today. They have an exclusive from a source in the parachute regiment, and they claim that we only have one plane available for the parachute regiment's D-Day parachute jump for the commemorations. Have you spoken to anyone? Do we have any more planes available?
Yeah, well, approached about that exact story, and I think it's reflected in the story. I have ordered a review of that. I do think it's incredibly important to remember the past, and if we don't do that, then we essentially commit ourselves to making the same mistakes again in the future. So I have ordered a review of that immediately. It is the case, of course, these aircraft are being used in a more difficult, troubled world, including, for example, on the previous conversation, to drop aid into Gaza. They've been very heavily used for that. So I'll have a look at the resources. Very important.
I mean, Grant, is it true that we maybe retired some of these aircraft a little too soon, and the replacements simply aren't there? Because we do this stuff so well, don't we? These displays, these commemorations, and it'd be such a shame if we didn't have them.
I absolutely agree about needing to make sure we do it properly, not just because it's a display, but because it commemorates something. Yesterday I was in Italy meeting my opposite number, and we were talking about Monte Cassino, which is a big commemoration there. It's important that D-Day is remembered properly here. It will be, by the way, both in Portsmouth and in France. So it will be. I want to make sure it's done properly. Coming back to the decisions, I'm afraid they predate my time. It is the case, though, we do have some very, very good A400 heavy lift aircraft with about 1.4 million tons of liftability. So we actually have a lot of liftability in the RAF. As I say, some of them have been involved in active. We know there are several live wars going on, and they are being used for those purposes. But I'm quite sure to commemorate something as significant as D-Day, we can do a bit better than that, and I've undertaken to make sure we do.
Well, I hope so. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Grant Shapps, Defence Secretary and Conservative MP for Welwyn Hatfield. Great to speak to you.